Seems so complicated.
Hmm?
I say it seems...
No, it's not. It's not.
It takes time.
It takes time.
Oh.
That's why you lose the patience because of not
Patience
using.
in the Vedanta place,
You know what? I really learned to learn. What can I say? So I'm gonna, see what I'm gonna do.
You can hear me.
Okay. Yeah, because the way to check this, look at this is also another way to check. Oops. See this green part?
Yeah, that's true.
And 3 people are already there, so we at least know.
Yeah.
The only problem I don't like about this one is you don't know who they are.
Unless they tell us who they are. Then
So, I'm not gonna close the,
you can. You can turn it off.
you sure?
Yeah.
As you said.
Few more minutes. So Narayan, you're saying that the chanting of the Gita by Modi ji is on the YouTube. I can look
Yeah,
at it.
I can send it to you.
No, I can search for it.
Yeah. ISKCON.
ISKCON.
Yeah, he goes around and then a huge book, so many kgs. So they got the paper printed from Germany. They tell you how they do it.
I see.
In it.
There's only one copy?
Yes.
Okay.
And he talks about one shloka. I think the Paritrana is Sadhunam, I think. And he explains so well. Amazing.
Yeah, he's a very good
Very
orator.
No
well
notes.
learned person.
No notes, nothing.
No.
Great orator.
And 5 major events he attends. He is up to 3:30 in the morning, and a meeting at 7, and he takes the train to go to ISKCON. I don't have.
Was it the same night where he stayed up to see the operations
Yes,
against Pakistan?
Yes.
Okay.
He is marvelous guy. Very
I-
much top on the
Yeah.
issues.
People make fun of him. That's the thing with bugs, you know.
Oh, that's India.
No,
Here,
people-
look at here also.
And they compare him to it. This jerk. Yes. I think he's the best prime minister we ever had. Worst is Nehru. He's the best.
It's true. Well, I think his chances of re-election have become better after this strike.
After this one, yes, he has popularity has increased.
So hopefully. There's some question whether they actually were able to strike at the target as they claim or not. So,
Well,
But
That's
in-
always there.
huh?
That's always there.
In some ways, it doesn't matter because, in fact, if they were not able to strike at it, it has some symbolic value, and also Pakistan will not be so upset that they would actually launch a counter-offensive.
No, but-
the air marshal is staying retired. They want this to be escalated because they can clean up. They say in the TV.
The
the
Indian-
retired air
TV
marshal
also
said,
saying-
Yeah.
he'll be very happy if they escalate. If Pakistan escalates. So these guys are ready.
Well, the problem is the nuclear option.
Yeah, already he called a meeting there for the nuclear
Yeah.
thing.
Okay, I think we can start. So I just wanted to, is this loud enough? May not be, just,
yeah.
is it okay?
Well, your volume is not, I think.
Yeah, the volume needs to be adjusted up.
Oh,
Chandra is coming. That's better, yeah. So, do you have copies of the Dhyana Shlokas, Mauna Vyakhya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam Yuvanam? Do you have copies of that? Did I send it to you? Huh?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, slokas, yes.
Okay. So I think what we are going to do as the opening prayer is the Sahana Vavatu, starting with the Sahana Vavatu. And then we are going to go to the Dhyana Shloka for the Dakshinamurti Strotram, which is Mauna Vyakhya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam. And then we will, of course, chant the shlokas of the stotram itself. So let me ask a question. How many people do not know the chanting of the Dakshinamurti Strotram? Okay. All right. So there are a few, and so we will practice it. In fact, let's just do that today itself, and we will do it for a few times until you are familiar with it, and then we can do it together. So for now, I think Sahana Vavatu you all know, so let's chant that together. But after that, please follow me as far as the Dhyana Shlokas are concerned, Mauna Vyakhya, and then also the 10 shlokas of the Dakshinamurti Strotram. So we will start with that. So let's chant together the Sahana Vavatu. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so then the Dhyana Shlokas, so you can just repeat after me. We'll do one line at a time, or 1/4 line, obviously. Mauna Vyakhya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam. Let's see if is it too much. Mauna Vyakhya Prakatita. Yeah, let's just do 1/2 line once and then the full line the second time. Mauna Vyakhya Prakatita. Mauna Vyakhya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam Yuvanam. Parabrahma Tattvam Yuvanam. Mauna Vyakhya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam Yuvanam. Mauna Vyakhya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam Yuvanam. Varshistante Vasat Rishiganaihi. Varshistante Vasat Rishiganaihi. Avritam Brahmanishtaihi. Avritam Brahmanishtaihi. Varshistante Vasat Rishiganai Avritam Brahmanistaihi. Varshistante Vasat Rishiganai Avritam Brahmanistaihi. Acharyendram Karakalita Chinmudram. Acharyendram Karakalita Chinmudram. Anandarupam. Anandarupam. Acharyendram Karakalita Chinmudram Anandarupam. Acharyendram Karakalita Chinmudram Anandarupam. Swatma Ramam Mudita Vadanam. Swatma Ramam Mudita Vadanam. Dakshinamurtimide. Dakshinamurtimide. Swatma Ramam Mudita Vadanam. Dakshinamurtimide. Swatma Ramam Mudita Vadanam. Dakshinamurtimide. Vatavitapi Samipe. This I think we can do the full line. Vatavitapi samipe bhumi bhage nishannam. Vatavitapi samipe bhumi bhage nishannam. Sakalamuni jananam jnanadataram Sakalamuni jananam jnanadataram Tribhuvana Gurumisham Dakshinamurti Devam Tribhuvana Gurumisham Dakshinamurti Devam Janana Marana Dukkha Cheda Daksham Namami Janana Marana Dukkha Cheda Daksham Namami Chitram Vataturor Mule Chitram Vataturor Mule Vriddha Shishya Gurur Yuva Vriddha Shishya Gurur Yuva Chitram Vataturor Mule Vriddha Shishya Gurur Yuva Chitram Vataturor Mule Vriddha Shishya Gurur Yuva Gurostu Maunam Vyakhyanam Gurostu Maunam Vyakhyanam Shishyastu Chinna Samshayaha Shishyastu Chinna Samshayaha Gurostu Maunam Vyakhyanam Shishyastu Chinna Samshayaha Gurostu Maunam Vyakhyanam Shishyastu Chinna Samshayaha Nidhaye Sarva Vidyanam Nidhaye Sarva Vidyanam Bhishaje Bhavaroginam Bhishaje Bhavaroginam Nidhaye Sarva Vidyanam Bhishaje Bhavaroginam Nidhaye Sarva Vidyanam Bhishaje Bhavaroginam Gurave Sarva Lokanam Gurave Sarva Lokanam Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Gurave Sarva Lokanam Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Gurave Sarva Lokanam Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Namah Pranavarthaya Om Namah Pranavarthaya Shuddha Jnanaikamurtaye Shuddha Jnanaikamurtaye Om Namah Pranavarthaya Shuddha Jnanaikamurtaye Om Namah Pranavarthaya Shuddha Jnanaikamurtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaya Nirmalaya Prashantaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Nirmalaya Prashantaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Nirmalaya Prashantaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Murti Bheda Vibhagine Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Before we chant the Stotram next, we will go over the meaning of the particular verses of the Dhyana shlokas. Maybe some other time we want to get going with the text. But just a quick comment: the Dhyana shlokas, particularly if you learn the meaning of it, but even if you don't know the meaning and you just chant it regularly before the study of the book, is very helpful, I find, in my own experience. And where it really helps is that it focuses your mind effortlessly. You don't have to force it. So it just pulls it into it, and Ishvara helps you because it is you are asking for the help of Ishvara while you are studying, And so I find when I am studying in the morning, then just doing the dhyana shlokas, after a while, it takes a while for you to get familiar with it and repeat it. And if you do, then you find that your mind becomes much more amenable to the study. And that's really what it means. Our biggest issue is that our minds are just scattered all over the place. And we don't have the ability to naturally focus on this rather subtle vidya. And the dhyana shloka helps you to do so. That's why and the specific meaning of that we will study perhaps some other time. So now let's chant.
Did you send the PDF you were supposed to send from
Yeah.
the website?
Yes.
Yeah, I never got it.
It's in the recording, then Dakshinamurti, and then text.
Yeah. So did anybody else? Did anybody get it today?
Yeah, we got it.
Anyone else?
Huh.
So you
That's
didn't
funny.
follow
Asking
the.
if you emailed it, I don't think you.
No, it
Okay.
was on the
I think
Aksha
she-
Vidya.
The Arsha Vidyas.
Oh, that I have.
Yeah,
No, but you were saying that,
No, I'm saying
By
that
5 p.m.
it's
today,
there in the
okay.
text.
got it.
So you are supposed to get that. It's
Yeah.
okay. I'll have it. So we'll. But it, and in fact, I think what we will do is I will add some more text to it as time goes on, and so this will become kind of like a text of the classes. But at least the quick analysis, the quick overview. I remember you were the one who suggested it to me, Narayan, when we first started doing it. So I remembered your request, and I thought it's a useful thing to do, is to give an overview of it. So we will study that in a minute. Anyway, just to go over the chanting of the Dakshinamurti Strotram. So here, I think most of you are familiar with it, but those of you that are not, what we do is the quarter line itself is divided slightly into a pause. So, for example, in other words, it is segmented into two halves with a slight pause in the middle. It goes something like this, which, and then it could be chanted in different ways, but this is how our Guru has taught us, and I want to stick to the same tone and the tune of doing it. It goes like this. Vishvam darpana dishyamana nagari tulyam nijantargatam. So you can see with after the nagari, a slight pause before you go to the next one. So perhaps we will mark it for you, or you can mark it yourself as we follow the enunciation of it. So we will start with that. You can just follow after me. We'll do the same thing. We will do 1/8 of a verse, and then 1/4 of a verse, and then go to the next line. So you can just follow after me. Vishvam darpana dishyamana nagari, Vishvam darpana dishyamana nagari, Tulyam nijantargatam, Tulyam nijantargatam, Vishvam darpana drishyamana nagari, Tulyam nijantargatam, Vishvam darpana drishyamana nagari, Tulyam nijantargatam, Pashyannatmani mayaya bahirivo, Pashyannatmani mayaya bahirivo, Udbhutam yatha nidraya, Udbhutam yatha nidraya, Pashyannatmani mayaya bahirivo, Udbhutam yatha nidraya, Pashyannatmani mayaya bahirivo, Udbhutam yatha nidraya, Yasakshat kurute prabodha samaye, Yasakshat kurute prabodha samaye, Swatmanamevadvayam, Swatmanamevadvayam, Yasakshat kurute prabodha samaye, Swatmanamevadvayam, यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयम् तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदम् तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदम् श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदम् श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदम् श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये. I think we will do 5 verses today and do the rest perhaps next time or maybe at the end of the class, so we will see. Otherwise it'll just take too long. Second one. Bijasyantarivānkuro jagadidam Bijasyantarivānkuro jagadidam Prāṅ nirvikalpam punaha Prāṅ nirvikalpam punaha Bijasyantarivānkuro jagadidam Prāṅ nirvikalpam punaha Bijasyantarivānkuro jagadidam Prāṅ nirvikalpam punaha Maya kalpita desha kala kalana Maya kalpita desha kala kalana Vaichitrya chitrikritam Vaichitrya chitrikritam Maya kalpita desha kala kalana Vaichitrya chitrikritam Maya kalpita desha kala kalana Vaichitrya chitrikritam Maya viva vijrambhayatyapi maha Maya viva vijrambhayatyapi maha. One more time. Maya viva vijrambhayatyapi maha Maya viva vijrambhayatyapi maha Yogi vayasvechaya Yogi vayasvechaya Maya viva vijrambhayatyapi maha Yogi vayasvechaya Maya viva vijrambhayatyapi maha Yogi vayasvechaya Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Yasyaiva Sphuranam Sadatmakam Yasyaiva Sphuranam Sadatmakam Asat Kalparthagam bhasate Asatkalparthagam bhasate Yasyaiva sphuranam sadatmakam Asatkalparthagam bhasate Yasyaiva sphuranam sadatmakam Asatkalparthagam bhasate. Let's just do it one more time. Yasyaiva sphuranam sadatmakam asatkalparthakam bhasate Yasyaiva sphuranam sadatmakam asatkalparthakam bhasate Sakshat tattvamasiti vedavachasa Sakshat tattvamasiti vedavachasa Yo bodhayatyashritan Yo bodhayatyashritan Sakshat tattvamasiti vedavachasa Yo bodhayatyashritan Sakshat tattvamasiti vedavachasa Yo bodhayatyashritan Yat sakshat karanat bhavenna punaravrittihi Zat sakshat karanat bhavenna punaravrittihi Bhavam bho nidhau Yat sakshat karanat bhavenna punaravrittir Bhavam bho nidhau Yat sakshat karanat bhavenna punaravrittir Bhavam bho nidhau Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Nana Chidraghatoddarasthitam sorry. Nana Chidraghatoddarasthita Nana Chidraghatoddarasthita Mahadeepa Prabhabhaswaram Mahadeepa Prabhabhaswaram Nana Chidraghatoddarasthita Mahadeepa Prabhabhaswaram Nana Chidraghatoddarasthita Mahadeepa Prabhabhaswaram Jnanam yasya tu chakshuradi Jnanam yasya tu chakshuradi Karnadvara bahispandate Karnadvara bahispandate Jnanam yasya tu chakshuradi Karnadvara bahispandate Jnanam yasya tu chakshuradi Karnadvara bahispandate Janamiti tameva bhantam Janamiti tameva bhantam Anubhatye tatsamastam jagat Anubhatye tatsamastam jagat Janamiti tameva bhantam Anubhatye tatsamastam jagat Janamiti tameva bhantam Anubhatye tatsamastam jagat Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nabaitam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nabaitam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Deham pranamapindriyanapi chalam Deham pranamapindriyani chalam Buddhim cha shunyam viduhu Buddhim cha shunyam viduhu Deham pranamapindriyanapi chalam Buddhim cha shunyam viduhu Deham pranamapindriyanapi chalam Buddhim cha shunyam viduhu Stri baland jadamo Stri baland jadopamastuhamiti Stri baland jadopamastuhamiti Bhranta bhrisham vadinaha Bhranta bhrisham vadinaha Stri baland jadopaswam
Swamahiti, Hamati.
Jada upamastwaham. Okay. Stri baland jadopamastwahamiti bhranta vrisham vadinaha. Stri baland jadopamastwahamiti bhranta vrisham vadinaha. Maya shakti vilasa kalpita. Maya shakti vilasa kalpita. Mahavyamoha samharine Mahavyamoha samharine Maya shakti vilasa kalpita Mahavyamoha samharine Maya shakti vilasa kalpita Mahavyamoha samharine Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. All right. So even though this text is being taught to a spectrum of students, some who have been studying Vedanta for a while, and some who are relatively new, and some who with the different temperaments and so on and so forth. So even though that is the case, I would say that this is a rather advanced text, and advanced in the sense that like the Mandukya Upanishad that we are studying on Saturday mornings, this is a very condensed text which has a lot of material in it, Um, it's all packed in there. Every word has been very carefully put in. Every word has an enormous significance to it. And we are very fortunate actually that this composition by none other than Adi Shankara himself, this is, one of those texts, because it is very fashionable that any deep text in the Vedic tradition is normally ascribed to Adi Shankara. Whether or not there is authenticity with it or not, we don't know. But this one definitely was composed by him. How can we say that? Because of the commentary by his direct disciple, Sureshwaracharya, in the form of Manasa Ullasa. So the Manasa Ullasa is a very beautiful text that provides the authoritative commentary on this text, and it was written by his direct disciple. And so this is a very good confirmation of the fact that in fact the author of Stotram, Dakshinamurti Strotram, is in fact the original Adi Shankara. I think I was telling some of the people in the class on Saturday that I feel very fortunate that last week I had a chance to visit the Omkareshwara temple on the bank of the Narmada, and it is not just folklore, but this is in fact a real fact, a historical fact, that Adi Shankara actually came to this temple and studied under his guru Govindacharya, and his guru of course was Gaudapada, who originally came from Bihar in India. And but anyway, Govindacharya was the teacher resident in this place. It may not have been a big temple at that time, we don't know, but he was certainly a resident. And Adi Shankara actually studied with him. And to commemorate that, they have, of course, a Shivalinga. There is one of the Jyotirlingas, 12 Jyotirlingas of India. And then in a cave, which there is some natural water, so it's kind of like a wet cave, not a dry cave. There is in fact a Vigraha of Govinda Padacharya with a beard and an older person, and a younger person who is Adi Shankara. And I took some, there the pictures were allowed, so I clicked some pictures. I will show it to you some other time. But just I'm so fortunate to even go there. Ishvara just somehow arranged it so that I was able to go there, and I'm very fortunate to have done so. Anyway, so the author of this book is indeed Adi Shankara, and what I was saying was that I would say that this is a rather advanced text, and the reason, as I mentioned before, is that it is very condensed. It has a lot of material in it, and it takes a long time to really understand the content of it. And we are fortunate that that his disciple Sureshwaracharya wrote this book, and it is so beautifully brought out, all the aspects of it. And I have a challenge now, which I'm gearing up for myself, and that challenge is that instead of going through all the verses of this Manasa Ullasa, so each verse is called Manasa Ullasa. Each verse, 10 of the verses, is called Manasa Ullasa. Manasa Ullasa means the delight of the mind. That's the real of the delight. It means that once you understand the meaning of each verse, that brings such peace and such delight to the mind. I can just tell you that. for my own study. And that's properly called Manasa Ullasa, and was done by Sureshwacharya. And each of the verses now has several dozen explanatory verses by on Manasa Ullasa. And there are some, we can go to some of the translations of it. I think I'll go into the text for just a minute before we go into this. So one of the authoritative books which has given a brief commentary on the Manasa Ullasa is the one by this one available here by let's see, Venkatacharya's, let's see who did it. Sureshwacharya ke Manasa Ullasa ko prakash kitaya Swayam Prakashat Tasudaya. So I am not quite sure.
It's early.
Hmm?
It's early. The author.
What about the author?
Are you looking for the author?
Yeah.
It's early in the second page.
Aladi Mahadev Shastri.
Aladi Mahadev Shastri.
No, this one.
I think that's translation.
This one, he's not talking about this book.
No, I'm not talking about that book.
Oh.
I'm not talking about that book. That's what I'm saying. This is only in Sanskritam. It has two books in it. Just 1 second. Manasa Ullasa. Ramatirtha. Ramatirtha sahitena Manasa Ullasena Tattva Sudhaya cha Samangalakritam. Ramatirtha. Ramatirtha, Sri Ramatirtha wrote a brief commentary on the Manasa Ullasa, which is only in Sanskritam. And I remember I've read it a couple of times. English translations are not easily available, not very well and so on. But very fortunately, Swami Maheshananji really did the great commentary on the Manasa Ullasa. So all the verses of Sureshwacharya. And it was just phenomenal. I first read it March of 2010. I must have read it several times after that, so about 9 years ago.
That's what we took it.
And as you know, we took the first verse of the Manasa Ullasa, of the Strotram, and that took us, close to a year.
Yeah.
And it just gets to be too detailed. So anyway, my challenge, which I'm really looking forward to meeting that challenge, is to summarize the key concepts of Manasa Ullasa, extracted from Swami Maheshananji's book, and do it in about on an average of 4 classes for each of the 10 verses. So a total of 40 classes. And let's see how we do. I've already studied the first one from that standpoint, and I think it's doable. So we will look at it. So what that means is that there is no text that I can have you read, because unless you are Hindi speaking, number one, and you have the time, you won't be able to go through the details of Swami Maheshananji's translation and commentary, actually, not just translation, but a commentary on the Manasa Ullasa. And you're welcome to do so. There isn't anything on in English. So in English, the only thing that we have is a straight translation of the verses of Manasa Ullasa, which is given by Mahadeva Shastri. And so if you can do that, that will be fine. But it is nothing compared to the detailed explanation by Swami Maheshananji. So that's the situation that we have. Now, the one thing that I would say is that Swami Tattvavedaranandaji has written this book which I have studied to a certain extent, not in detail, but I've kind of scanned it. And he expresses the ideas in his own way, doesn't follow the Manasa Villasa per se. He's extracted it in his own way. And of course, he's a very, very scholarly person. I have a lot of respect for him. So this book I would recommend as a supplement to the class teaching. And we have extra copies of that. It costs $11, and you're welcome to purchase this. How many people do not have this? Can you raise the hand? Okay, so we have enough for you. So even at the end of this class, you could please pick up this book and read it as a supplement. He has his own way of explaining his own language and so on, which will be helpful to you as a secondary aspect of it. But other than that, there is no text per se. All these are reference books, which you can have either if you are very fortunate to be a Hindi-speaking person and you want to get a copy of this and you have the time, because it takes a long time to really study this. Otherwise, just follow the class notes and make your own notes, and I think you will get a lot out of that. And at least that's my challenge. This is what I have to do. So any questions up to this point on what we have talked about? Okay. So let's go into the text itself. So as I mentioned in this overview of the Dakshinamurti Strotram, which I wrote in this morning itself, I just thought that I had promised Narayan that I will do, and I had not finished doing that. So this is the overview that I developed today, and this is just a first pass, and I will improve it as days go, as in the future. So the first thing I say is that the stotram means stuti. Stuti means the praise. It's a praise. And the praise is, as you know, in the refrain, Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Sri Dakshinamurtaye. My salutations, my praise to Dakshinamurti. And Dakshinamurti is Shiva, Ishvara, in the form of a teacher. So it is in each kalpa, the four Sanat Kumaras requested him that kindly teach it to us. And there are different lores about how it's each kalpa. Of course, the knowledge is never created; it is always there with Ishvara, but it is taught in a given kalpa to some people first, and so that's how it is started. So the name of Dakshinamurti comes from the fact, and we went over some of the significance of it in the last class, Shiva in the form of a teacher. So because Ishvara has different forms, sometimes as Kali, sometimes as Saraswati, sometimes as Ganesha, and here he appears as a teacher, which is Dakshinamurti. So this is a praise to Dakshinamurti, a praise to Shiva, the teacher. And Swami Maheshananji makes a very good point. He says, you know, this is a unique book, because I mentioned to you, or may not have mentioned to you, that anybody who writes a book in the Vedantic tradition must justify why he or she is writing that book. It's not just another book that others also have. I also want to write how to become rich. Everybody writes a book, or how to lose weight. Everyone has their own ideas. This isn't like that, in the sense that this is something that has never been done before. So this book is unique in the following way. Any book that has a combination of bhakti and jnanam all together in one book is a remarkable book. Usually you have a book which is devoted to knowledge, or have something which is devoted to bhakti, Narada Bhakti Sutram. So for example, But here, the both aspects of knowledge and bhakti are combined together. And this is the uniqueness of it. And so here what it means is, as we have mentioned before also, that the best form of bhakti is to know something about the person that you are devoted to. Because if simply saying this is a great person, this is a great person without knowing that person is not truly true bhakti. But if you know the qualities, the mahima, the enormity of the person in detail, you yourself are very knowledgeable about, then your bhakti becomes very natural. Then your love, bhakti here means love, devotion, is very natural. You begin to admire, wow, what a person this is, who is able to give me this, who is able to show me this. This kind of a combination of bhakti and jnanam is contained in this book. This Swami Maheshanji pointed out, very beautifully pointed out. So this is that. Now, the issue is, how does this knowledge get conveyed to us? Us meaning those who have a firm conviction, firm experience that I am a limited being. I am a jivatma with daily problems, having a beginning, having a life which is mixture of sukha dukkha, and a perceived end to my life. What is it? There was a bit interesting, I like the American, there's an American saying which says, life is a bitch and then we die. I think this is a really an interesting thing. That first of all, life itself is full of dukkha. And then at the end of that, you're gone. So this is our conviction. That somehow, I don't know, my life is full of problems, more or less. And then as though the problems will end, no. I'm no longer there. But this is our conviction. So here the Shastra says, wait. No. You have made a complete mistake. You're not looking at yourself the way you should. You are not a limited being. And first of all, I don't even listen to this. What? What are you talking about? What do you mean that I'm not a limited being? Yes, right. You are limitless. Limitless? I don't understand what limitlessness is. That doesn't even strike me. And then, so I ask the question, what do you mean by limitlessness? Means you have no dukkha. You are completely separate from any problems. You never had any problems, you won't. None of this makes sense to me. None of this makes sense to me. So here is the challenge of the teaching. The challenge of the teaching is, Swami Dayananji once said, it was a very beautiful saying. He says, it is an amazing thing that the teacher doesn't see any problems and the student does not see any solutions. And the two of them are talking to each other. This is exactly what the situation of the Shruti is. The Shruti knows that, Shruti means the entire set of scriptural books and so on, Vedas, the Vedic knowledge. It knows very well that right now it is falling on deaf ears. First of all, very few people even bother to look into it. And even the ones who bother to look into it are not listening. And even if you start listening, you start doubting. And Shruti is very well aware of it, extremely aware of it. So it says, how do we make this person? So there, as you know very well, this is just for your reference purposes and so on, there are 3 different steps involved in breaking through to the minds of a limited person, so that you begin to see the beauty of this teaching, the enormity of this teaching, completely opposite to what you were thinking of. 3 steps. And you've known that by now. Shruti, Yukti and Anubhava. Shruti, Yukti and Anubhava. And I should do Anubhava instead of Nididhyasanam. That's one of the things I need to change. So on the Saturday class I gave an example of these 3 steps. So let me repeat it here. I know some of the people have already heard this. That's my challenge. Some of you go to multiple classes, so I don't know how to do it. But anyway, so I think this is a good example. It just strikes home to me. So here's the situation. Supposing somebody says that this is a pear. This is a pear. Now, supposing it's a stone pear made out of stone, very nice looking, looks like a real pear, but it is made out of stone. Now somebody says this is a pear. He's not telling a lie. He's not saying this is an elephant, because supposing you have to buy a number of different fruits to decorate your home, not to eat but to decorate your home, then you will say, do you have apples? I need a couple of pears, I need a couple of apples, bananas, oranges, so I can kind of put them into a nice place on my living room. So then the person says, this is a pear. He brings it out. Now, this is not a lie, but for you it is incomplete. So if you see a pear, it looks like a pear to you, but it is not, you are not totally convinced that this is a pear. I'm now talking about you're looking at you're asking for a real pear, not a stone pear. So your eyes are telling you the truth. Eyes are not lying. The eyes say, this looks like a pear, the shape of the pear and so on. Now, you need a couple of other sensory confirmations to know. What are the other 2? One is to touch it, and the other one is to smell it, to take the aroma. If you smell it, I guess one can even fool anything. You can even have a touch where you have a rubber or something like this and it's cold to the touch. And then the aroma can be sprayed on it. But no, I'm not talking about those extreme cases. Normally, you have 3 points of confirmation. Look, touch, and the smell. Then you say, yes, this is a real pear. Just recently when I was in India, we were visiting some places, and anytime you go to a hotel and they have this beautiful bouquet, and my wife is always looking at it, she touches it, because half the time these bouquets are artificial. And as soon as she touches it, she says, wow, these guys are, where did they get this from? So that's a distinguishing point between artificiality and reality. So also, Shruti, Yukti and Anubhava are 3 different confirmation aspects of learning. So the Shruti says these are the facts about you. I know you have a hard time to even believe in this, to understand it, but let me tell you anyway. So you soak all of that in. So that comes from a very detailed analysis of the Shastra, Shravanam, through the Shruti. This is called Shruti. And Shruti also means the words of authority. An authoritative set of words, because we don't know who is authoritative. Who knows? Because there are so many people saying different things. Bhagwan is here, Bhagwan is there, Ishvara is there, there is Naraka, there is all kinds of issues are there. And we don't know who's the authority. So for us to, and the authority really comes from your trust in the teacher. Really speaking, Swami Viditatmananda used to say that so well. He says, our value, because you are not going to, you as a real listener must have a trust in the teacher. You must feel that this guy, I think he knows what he's talking about. If that doesn't happen, you're not going to listen. Trust is very important. And I have a trust to the teachers that I studied under. And so that whole parampara comes up to the point. This is called Shruti. This is called Shruti. And in fact, I would say this. This prayer, Sahana Vavatu, Sahanao Bhunaktu, Saha Viryam Karavavai. So as you know, it has a dual. Sahana Vavatu means may the two of us be protected. May the two of us work together. So it's a duality. That duality is the student and the teacher. Else. And you is also a creation of Ishvara, and I'm also a creation of Ishvara, and we have different roles to play. Together, we must understand what is going on. I have to be hardworking, you have to be hardworking. So that's the Sahana Vavatu. Anyway, going back to the importance of Shruti. So Shruti means the words of the authority, authoritative words. Everything I should just have a complete trust. Even though I don't understand it. Sometimes that's okay. To have a doubt about it is okay. But at least I should rely upon it. That yes, these are the words of the Shruti. Okay? So this is one thing. Now, the second one is Yukti. And Yukti is representing Mananam. Mananam means, so first is Shravanam. The second one is Mananam, meaning I have to now examine it. Mananam means your daily experiences and the words of the Shruti seem to be conflicting. Because the Shruti says, Asango hiham, you are asanga, you are not affected. I am very much affected. Something happens to me, that happens to me. It doesn't happen to you. You don't say, my body was in pain. You say, I am in pain. So I am very much affected. So there is a conflict between what the Shruti is saying and what I feel is the experience. How do I reconcile it? Here also the Shruti knows it. It's not as though he says, oops, I don't know how to teach this guy. No. The Shruti knows that first you have to ascertain exactly what is being said. Then you have to start questioning it. And the Shruti also gives you hints on how to reconcile the two. So this is called Yukti. And one important thing to hear is that the Yukti means logical thinking. Yukti means logical, logic, pure logic from your standpoint. The pure logic should be following the Shruti, not independent logic. Independent logic, the example is that there is no Ishvara because there is so much dukkha. There's so much dukkha, people die and they have, young people die, they have no, then where is the Ishvara? This is pure logic. It makes sense also. Yeah, you're right. I don't know if there is any reasonable, how could he allow this kind of a thing to happen? But the Shruti has an explanation and you have to follow the logic of it. And so the logic also has to follow Shruti. So Shruti, then Yukti, and finally Anubhava. Anubhava means that whatever is taught must be possible as your experience, already in the past and certainly in the future. And so the example of the Anubhava is that, see, it is possible for you to be independent of dukkha. It happens every night. If dukkha was your nature and you are stuck with it, you will not even have a minute of sukha, but you have several hours of sukha. So it is possible. This is a good hint. And Swami Dayananda, I remember when I first heard this was very, Swami Dayananda used to say, there's even the dukhi person, all kinds of problems and so on, if you just give them a good joke, then dukkha goes for a minute. Otherwise, if the dukkha is real, even a good joke will not really make any difference whatsoever. Absolutely not. So, this as an example of this. So, the essence of a good joke is surprise. Surprise is always an essence of it. So, this is one example. So I've given you this, it's, the same thing. I need some new students, they have not heard this. This is the problem. There's not too many of them. I think 2 or 3 of them are there, so for them I'll give the old joke. So the old joke is that there was a guy who used to buy lottery tickets. This is a lottery ticket joke. See, already people are knowing about it. So you do something else in the meantime. So he used to buy lottery ticket. And he had a heart problem. And so he was, a cardiac patient. And so one time he was going on a business trip and he told his wife, listen, I just bought this lottery ticket and it's going to be announced tomorrow, and make sure you look at the ticket, and because it's a big one. And I won't be here, so you please do it. So the wife saw the ticket and she can't believe it. He won $1 million. She says, very sure? Yes, absolutely, $1 million. Now she's worried that this guy is a heart patient. And if I break the news to him right away, he's may collapse. He's a very emotional kind of a guy. So she calls up his cardiologist and says, sir, I need your help. This guy has won $1 million. What is gonna? So he says, okay, when he comes tomorrow, let him come to I'll handle him. I've known these cases like this. So he brings it to the office, and the fellow says, examines him, just pretends he's testing his heart and so on. He says, oh, everything is okay, everything is okay. And he says, what if you win $25,000 on a lottery ticket? So he says, well, that would be a lot of money, and I don't know what I'll do with it, and I'll give you 10% of it. The guy says, very good, excellent. Then he says, what happens if you win $100,000? He says, oh, I don't know what I would do. That would be just terrible. I can't believe how much I could, I don't know what to do with it. And I'll give you 20% of it. So the guy says, what if you won $1 million? He says, don't even talk about it. I can't even imagine it. In fact, I'll be so happy, I'll give you 50% of it. At this point, the doctor had a heart attack and he died. So he asked his wife, he says, what happened to this guy? He says, now you only have to share, you can't even have to share 50% to him. You get the full $1 million. So Swamiji used to give these jokes from time to time. He's got a whole set of them in his back pocket. And so he used to say, listen, no matter what problems you have, you can always laugh a little bit. And that shows the non-reality of dukkha. That from a silly joke, it can just go quickly. So this means anubhava. You don't need to fulfill all of your desires. You are okay the way you are. It's thus just the conclusion that I am buried under I've got so many problems in my life. This is the issue. You don't have any problems, but you've imposed it on yourself from a different view altogether. Anyway, those are the 3 steps that the Shruti needs to convince you so that you can be convinced that you are a limitless person with no problems. Shruti, Yukti and Anubhava. So the Dakshinamurti Strotram incorporates all 3 of them. So let's go through the 10 verses very quickly. We won't have much time to do so, but I'll give you a very quick summary of it. So the first 3 verses of Dakshinamurti Strotram are Shruti Paravakyas. First 3. They are to represent what the authoritative voice of the Vedas are saying. The next 3 verses are Yukti Paravakyas, where Mananam is important. So you can say this is a Shravanam in the first 3, Mananam in the next 3, 4, 5 and 6. Number 7 and 8 goes into some different topics which are to see the truth of what is pointed out in the first 6 verses. 7 and 8 give you the sadhana for understanding. What is it that I need to do? What obstructions do I have in my mind that prevent me from seeing this truth? Those are the 2 main topics of verses number 7 and 8. Then number 9 is purely based on meditative techniques, meditation. Nididhyasana Param. First one is Shruti Param, then Yukti Param, and then a couple of Sadhana Param, and then the number 9 is Nididhyasana Param. And the 10th one is Phalashruti. It gives you, if you do this, what will you get out of it? How will you feel? How have the others felt? How will you measure your progress? So it is all the main topic there is phalam, means the fruits of the study, the fruits of the results of this. That is the 10th one. This is how the 10 verses are structured. Okay, so to do this, Swami Maheshanandji has given a word, two words, Atma and then another word, Atma and then another word. So the second word describes the essence of each verse, and we must keep that in mind as we are studying a verse. Like, for example, the first one is called Atma Pratyak Swarupam. The essence of the first one, which is Vishwam Darpana Dishyamana Nagari Tulyam Nijantargatam Pashyan Atmani Mayaya Bahirivod Bhutam Yatha Nidraya Yat Sakshat Kurute Prabodha Samaye Swatmanam Eva Advayam Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. This is the first one. The essence of the first one is Atma Pratyak Swarupam. What does it mean in this context? Pratyak Swarupam means that it is, and in fact, really the first verse gives you the essence of the whole thing. It is the most important verse. Very much like, really, the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is where the teaching is given. That is the most important chapter. The whole thing is completely done there. The rest of that is simply an explanation of the second chapter. There you give karma, jnanam, bhakti, everything, all summarized together. And also the 18th chapter re-summarizes. Similarly here also, and then by the way, another structure of the Dakshinamurti Strotram, like in all texts, really all well-written texts. So this is what is called Mimamsa. Mimamsa means, and in very simple terms, a good talk by someone. Supposing you go and you listen to someone, a good talk starts with saying, here is what I'm going to tell you. I remember taking one when I was working a long time ago. My first job in the US was with IBM. And one of the things that I was very anxious to learn was speed reading. And so I was interesting. You know, I didn't know Vedanta or anything. I just wanted to improve myself in some ways. And one of the ways to improve myself was speed reading. So I took some classes in it. I read some books, exercises. I spent quite a bit of time on it. And some of it has really stuck with me, I must say that. And the essence of the speed reading is that when you study something, the essence of what the person is going to say is given in the very beginning. To put a lot of attention on it. And then, so the structure of a good article is to say, or a talk even, is to say, here is what I'm going to talk about. This is the beginning. Then you talk about it. And then you end it by saying, this is what I talked about. So in Mimamsic terms, it is called Upakrama Upasamhara. Upakrama means that what is the essence of it, and then the details, and then the summary at the end is called Upasamhara. And Dakshinamurti also follows the same structure. And so the first verse, in fact, is Upakrama, because like the second chapter of the Gita, it gives you the essence of everything in a nutshell. Then verses numbers 2 through 7 or something like that gives you the details of it. And then in 8 or 9 and 10, or maybe 9 and 10, something like that, it starts to summarize. This is the structure of it. Anyway, going back to the first verse is called Atma Pratyak Swarupam. So you just take an example of that. I don't think we'll have time to go through each one of them, but let's just take one. What it's saying is, your Swarupa, your real nature, your reality, the real you, is always unmanifest. This is a statement with enormous implications. So what it means is that whenever you evaluate yourself, your self-evaluation leading to self-conclusion, leading to conclusion about yourself, is always in terms of the manifestation of yourself. And by definition, it is wrong. You are never evaluating your unmanifest nature, which you're never evaluating your nature which is unmanifest. It is not available for your self-evaluation. Because the only thing that we can do is to evaluate what I can feel and see. Your mind, your body, your responses to the outside world, those are manifest. However you define yourself, supposing like we did the introduction to this class, so when you say, I am such and such, I work here, and I have studied Vedanta for so many years, and I've done this, I belong to this country, and so on and so forth. Manifest, 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 manifest. None of that is pertinent to you. None of that. So this is a very important verse, really. This is the meaning of Atma Pratyak Swarupam. Pratyak Swarupam means, Pratyak means inner here, innermost. Innermost. The innermost, see, when you say inner, which is a relative evaluation, outer versus inner. So there is actually there is a sequence. Something very outer you don't worry about. Outer means what is happening in, probably there's galaxies disappearing right now. Galaxies, not just one Earth. Galaxies disappearing and reappearing. But they are so outer, we have no idea what they are. Then there comes a little bit nearer. What happens to our own galaxy? A little bit more important. But the sunspots and all kinds of things are going on still outside. I don't have that much. Then it comes to the weather, which is in South Africa. Doesn't matter to me. Weather in the US, East Coast, nearer. A little bit I'm more concerned, especially if I have a friend or a family living there. The weather in California, like that, you can say inner, 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 inner. Then you can start to get into your own sphere, your own body. And there is an inner and outer with respect to your own. This is what you call Adhyatmika Sat. And Adhyatmika Sat means that you have certain body parts. And it's possible that you can lose a body part and still be whole. Your mind is there. The mind is inner. If you lose your mind, now you are in serious trouble. But even that is possible. You can be in coma and still be alive. Still be alive. There's a very sad, there's a friend of ours, mother of a person who's really on her last few, we are very close to her. My wife and I go visit. She has no knowledge of who's visiting her. She's very close to be gone, but her eyes are open and she just knows I'm alive. And so even the mind is gone. The mind also goes, but she knows I am. That's it. So there is an inner outer aspect of it. The innermost, the definition of what is, so this is where Pratyak Swarupan means innermost. The innermost is not something that you have, it is something that you are. Isn't it? You are the innermost. And then from there you have something, a mind and a body, prana, and so on. So the innermost, so here means, Pratyak Swarupa means unmanifest. This is the issue that we will see, that you are already limitless. You're already limitless. It's not as though you're going to become limitless. And no one can become limitless. No one can gain infinity. You're either infinity or you are not. You are the infinity. But we are totally distracted. I don't even want to consider that I am limitless. That's the phenomena which is alien to me. Just tell me how limited can I be a little bit less limited? That's all I'm concerned with. So my drishti is just outside of me. This is a very important verse. And this is what the first verse is going to show us. Anyway, so this is the essence of the verse in one word. And I'm very fortunate that I don't have to reinvent it. I was not smart enough to do all of this. This is all done for me by Swami Maheshananji. Atma Pratyak Swarupam. This is the essence. So when we study this verse, this is what we have to keep in mind as we understand the meaning of this verse. So similarly, there is a word for each of the verses, and this is what I did today, extracted that from this book and given you that. And so we will study this, but you can review it when you go to the website and go to the, so the way to do that is to go to the website arshavidyacenter.org, and then you go to, I think, current classes and recordings of the current classes, or you can go straight away to Dakshinamurti Strotram playlist. So in the playlist there are 3 titles on the top that Raj has done. So one of them is audio, one of them is video, and the third one is text. So this is now given in the text. So you can just go to the text and you can see this. Then, we only have a few minutes. I won't think I'll be able to finish this. Similarly, so there is a word for second verse. Atma Mula Karanam. Atma Advayam. Atma Satchit Rupam. Atma Avishishtaha. Atma Sadrupam, Atma Pratyabhigya, Atma Avritihi, Atma Dhyeyaha, Atma Purnakamaha. Last one, Atma Purnakamaha. Purnakamaha, just to give you an idea there, without going through all of them. Purnakamaha means that once you understand yourself, all your desires of life are already fulfilled, automatically fulfilled. Here Gita also says that individual wells are dry, individual wells have to get some water and so on. But once the area is flooded, all the wells are automatically filled. So similarly, you cannot say that, Swami Dayananda used to say that. He says, if you go to Swargaloka, then you are very happy there, but you will miss some things from here. You will miss the basketball by Warriors. It's not in Swargaloka. You'll say, I wonder how those guys did. They win the championship this year, or they 49ers, you'll have no idea how 49ers are doing. But if you are right here and you understand the glory of the Atma, you will not have a desire to see what the Warriors are doing. Warriors are doing. And and it becomes, it is not a sudden process, it becomes a gradual process. I am amazed, honestly. If you knew me when I was about 20 or 30 years ago, I was crazy about sports. Everyone I needed to know dropped off. Dropped off. I have no desire. And my only pretension is, now a friend of mine had a Super Bowl party, and so they invited my wife and I. And I said, what am I going to do with the Super Bowl party? But I said, I must do it. So went there, pretended as though I'm enjoying with everybody else. And if I didn't do it, my wife will just hit me. And she says, pay attention. Just sit there on one thing, and I'll never do that anyway. So now my enjoyment is pretension. I don't need it. I'm happy the way I am. So this is God, and I'm just not completely done yet. I'm just on my way. Purna Kama. Purna Kama. So anyway, those are the essence of the verses that we will study. And my challenge is going to be to keep the discussion contained in a few classes, so that your skills still kept fresh and you will enjoy it, and hopefully we will. And so I think all that will happen is that this is your first introduction to the Dakshinamurti Strotram. Then you can study it in more detail on your own, but at least you'll get a good overview of all of this. So with that, I close today's class, and I invite those of you that would like to get this book to come and get it. So let's say a prayer, and then we will. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityo Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Do you have any questions on all of this, or anything you wanted to ask about? Yes, sir.
The book you were talking about, Ramdev.
Yes.
Is it the same Ramdev who used to be Swami Ramdev?
No, I don't think so. That's a good question, but I don't think so. No. This is a different Ramdev. Yeah. So some of them are very short, some of them are a little bit longer. Scholarly, very good, but not as scholarly as Swami Maheshananji's commentary. I think that is much, much better. Yeah. Yeah,
So
Chandra.
there's an online question.
Okay. Good.
So this is Ved Narayana.
Okay.
So he said you explained the similarities between Lord Shiva and Lord Dakshinamurti.
Yes.
He wanted to know if you could do the same thing for Brihaspati and Shiva and Dakshinamurti.
Brihaspati and Shiva. So, so really, I think that the thing to look at is that Ishvara has many different manifestations. And so Brihaspati is the teacher to certain students. So I am not quite sure of the exact role of Brihaspati, but it certainly has a role of a teacher. Here, Shiva is the first teacher in a kalpa. It's very possible, and I may not know the exact difference between them. I'll have to research that out. But I do know this, that Shiva is the first teacher in each kalpa. Each kalpa means we are in the, it's roughly each kalpa is about 100 million years. And we are at the 50 million year, we are at midpoint of that right now. And then after another 50 years, then the whole thing will have a pralaya, and we will sleep for 100 million years and then start again. This is the kalpa. So Brihaspati comes later. He's also a teacher, but comes a little bit later. And I'll have to find out what the exact nature of that is. But Shiva, I know, is Ishvara. And Brihaspati is also a manifestation of Ishvara alone. So just like, all governments in the US are form of the US government. Whether it is IRS or police or something, they all part. Similarly, all the teachers, different forms and so on, are nothing but the realm of Ishvara alone. But the first teacher is himself, the Shivas, himself is the teacher, yeah.
A total of 10 people.
That were online, okay, good. So, any other? So I think what we will do, and this is new to me also, it may be good for us to develop certain key concepts, not develop, but to write down the key concepts in each one of these verses. And remember it, kind of like put an asterisk, and I will help you with it. But it may be difficult for me to say this one is that particular key one, this one is that particular key one. So from our emphasis and importance, you should have a system in your own book, in your own notes, where you say these are the concepts. And there are lots of them. There will be, and in fact so many of them that we will have to summarize most of them into 4 classes. So already this is class number 3. So I would say that these 3 are not counted in the 4 classes for each of the course. So then we will now start the first verse. And the first verse, I think maybe is the longest one because it is really the most important one. Later on it will come less with that. So for example, one of the areas that Manasa Ullasa goes through is to explain the alternative schools of thought from Vedanta. Bauddhas, Sankhyas, Vaisheshikas, and so on at that time. Nowadays it will be Christianity, Islam, but Buddhism was there already. So it goes into a lot of details of articulating their viewpoint and then refuting it. So we won't have time for doing that, but I will summarize it and say this verse. And then similarly, there are other verses that talk about Mahavakya. In fact, it is there in the Tattvamasi Vakya. So it goes into the essence of the Mahavakya. Then it goes into the essence of sadhana and pramana. So somehow we will have to summarize all of that in conceptual terms But I think that string of those concepts form the very basis of the introduction to Vedanta. And so you can at least note it down, and when you study other books, all of them also go into a lot of details of those concepts that you will enjoy reading. So you will see all of that. Okay, so kindly come and, if you want, pick up a copy of Swami TV's